me, this one's going to go big.
Okay, hello and welcome back to the channel. Going a little bit off the beaten track for this video because we've got a low tech. It's going to be this one here, Super Multi-Nudge by a company called Concept Gaming. Looked like they were rebuilding into electro coin hardware. Not entirely sure, I never played a real one. However, I did think it was worth doing a video on this machine because once I'd had the emptier explained to me and a couple of its nuances, it was rather amusing. I thought, well, this is really daft. How on earth does code like this get out into the wild? So we'll have a run through this and see that indeed, yes, there's a dreadful fuck up on this machine. We're going to have here, now the machine on the left here, which is Dad's DX of Celebration, which is like a single player party time. We're going to have this going on for sort of eye candy really, because I will be the first to acknowledge that a three nudge, you know, three hold and three nudge low tech machine is not exactly the most sensational proposition in the world. But I think this is a fun little emptier and worth covering and seeing what's going on. And just for the record, if you look at the long-term stats on this, it's had over $1,000 through it and it's running over percentage. This machine is set to a rather generous 90%, although not completely outside the realms of possibility for a low-tech in a decent arcade. I do recall in the 90s that some arcades did kind of pride themselves on advertising that their machines paid out at like 88% or 90%, something like that, in a bid to attract customers. There was an arcade on Oxford Road in Manchester that put big signs up saying all our fruit machines pay 90%. So it's feasible. It doesn't really matter anyway. The point is that this machine, after over $1,000 through, it has got itself into a state where it's slightly over percentage. So we wouldn't expect the casual punter walking up to this machine to actually win anything. So bear that in mind as I start to play this, that it is over percentage. So as far as it is concerned, it is behind. At this moment in time, it needs to claw back £21.40 just to get onto an even keel. What we'll also do is lob a few credits in to party time over here. There we are. We'll put up that in. And that can just play itself over on the left-hand side there. We'll leave it doing what it's doing. Maybe we'll get a big top or something like that. That's just to have something else going on whilst we play this bloody low-tech over here. Right, so over to Super Multi-Nudge. What do we do? Right. Well, needless to say, first of all, we have to put a bit of cash in, so we'll put £6 in there. What are we doing? We are basically avoiding everything. Well, that's a fucking brilliant autoplay, isn't it? If it doesn't even do holds. That's going to get quite annoying quite quickly. Right, so for Super Multi-Nudge here, we're just avoiding everything. We don't want to get a win. So when it offers us holds on anything, we're just going to deliberately hold away from it. Just hold all three reels like that. If it gives us nudges that can bring us in a win, we're going to avoid that as well. So you can see there, it auto holds the sevens. I'm just going to hold the cherry in the middle and spin. I'm going to do the same thing again there because I don't want to get a win of any description. That is the worst auto play in the world. What fucking use are you? Right, okay. We'll carry on here. So again, no. Now, three nudges. Now, even if there is something there, we don't want to get it. And there, I've got to hold after nudge. I don't want that. So I'm going to hold away from it. Just hold all three reels. Now, and there, that's what we're after. So eventually, well, it hasn't taken too long here. You can see there, it's given me a wink for £2. What that means is that even though bars are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nudges away, that wink there is telling me that I can nudge in the bars. I can safely go for the bars and it'll like refresh the nudges and I will get my £2 win. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do this. I'm going to deliberately nudge in the melons. I'm not going to take the £2. I really did pick the wrong machine here, didn't I? I just thought this would go full auto and it absolutely doesn't. So we'll have to kind of... Oh, come on. What's the point of auto start if it's not even just going to hold and generally do things for you? That's rubbish. Right, okay. back to this. So there we are, that's fine. So, and then we'll just carry on. And then we'll do the same thing. So we've got nudges. I don't even care if I've got a win there or not, because I don't want it. It's held after nudges. I'm going to hold away from it. And it's given me a wink for £2. You see there, so it's telling me that, yes, you can have £2. Oh, what's that? Rubbish thing. So I'm deliberately going to nudge in £1. Once again, I'm going to nudge in £1. Now, you may be asking at this point, well, okay, this is all very interesting, but what's the point? Because you've now put £6 in, and you've got two £1 melon wins. This doesn't seem like a particularly great system. And I was kind of thinking the same thing. And also, I got a couple of the details of it wrong as well. So I'd ended up putting like 15, 20 quid in, and I'd got like £6 or £7 of £1 wins. And I was failing to understand what the big idea was. But you've got to put a few quid through it. Bear in mind that this machine is over percentage as well as we start to play it. But it will, after a little bit, start to behave itself. And we'll see what the whole point behind this is. And you may have to put a few quid in for this to happen. But as the machine gets happier, because we're not collecting anything, and when it tries to give us like 2 quid is the highest it's gone up to now. It's tried to give us 2 quid and we've taken a quid. So the machine's happiness is going to be going up over time, because so it's still at this moment in time, it's only a £2 wink. It's only offering us a £2 wink, but we're going to knock that back with a quid. So I guess somewhere in the code here, the machine it's there we are, and it's gone up to the next level. It's getting happy. It said, okay, you stupid bastard, I'm now going to offer you a £5. Will you please take this £5? I'm telling you very clearly here that you can nudge in cherries, even though it's not within 3 nudges. Just take the £5, will you please? No, we're going to nudge in melons again. And we're going to keep doing this. There we are. Now it's saying, now it's getting a little bit more impatient. It's kind of stamping its feet a bit and saying, look, for the slow ones at the back, will you please take the cherries? What else do I have to do? Now that it's held there, we can actually take the holds. That's fine. My reading of this is that we can take the holds because now it's spun in cherries. That is also fine, because what this machine is going to start doing is get into a loop. And look at that. It's now saying, please, will you take a £10 win? Please nudge in the 7s. It's far more than 3 nudges away, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to take £1 again. And now what has happened is, basically, there you see it again, it's winking for a tenner. Somewhere there's a subroutine, there's something deep in the code somewhere where this machine has lost track of what it's supposed to be doing, and we've got it into some kind of loop where it now doesn't see what we're taking as actually being wins. And what we can start to do now is take out a £1 win. Every time we get a wink, we just take a quid. And it will always give us enough nudges to get the quid. And it's going to keep doing this. So you get to the point where you can be getting... So now, just out of curiosity, for the numbers here, we've now got £19 in the bank and we've put £18 in. So it's taken us a little while to get it to this stage, but now it is in full loop mode where, as long as we don't do anything stupid, like nudging in cherries, if I nudge in cherries, it'll break the loop. The machine will somehow realise, and also you don't want to let them spin after a nudge like that, because it will just bring in 3 of a kind of something that was on the symbol. So we still want to be nudging away like that. And what you have to do is wait for the wink. It's when it winks that somehow you get this sort of free £1 win, or a £1 win that just doesn't affect the state of play of the machine. If it holds, it's fine, but we do not want to be holding for wins, and we do not want to be nudging in wins if we don't have a wink. In simple terms, all we are wanting to do here is nudge in melons when we have a wink, like that. And against that backdrop, it's fairly easy to understand how you can end up. So there, we don't even nudge in melons there, because there was no wink. It seems to be the wink that is pivotal to it. Now, if the machine just spins in a win, that's actually fine, but we don't want, it has to be without, as I can see it, without any kind of user interaction. So if it drops a win in, that's fine, and it can even hold. If it offers us nudges with a wink, like that, as it is doing kind of every other credit, we then take melons, but at all other times we must avoid wins, and at that point it seems to be pretty much trapped in a loop. So we'll nudge away from it there. Oh shit! Okay, I don't think £2. I was a little bit sorry, I was a bit too hasty there pressing it. It should still be winking, it is still winking. Okay, that's fine. How this works out in terms of pots, or what the machine is tracking or not tracking internally, you know, like with the May gaze where you get that concept of the there we have £5 wink, so we'll just nudge in melons. You know, like with May gaze where you get that concept of the future streak pot. If this is coming out from some sort of different pot internally, I don't know, but it does seem to work, and you can repeat this and it does consistently work, and you can even do it with a machine that is running over percentage as you start, as this one here. It can just take you a few quid to get it going in the first instance, that's all. And there you see, nudge away from the win, and then it'll just wink in the aftermath. Doesn't seem to bother it if you allow it to auto hold the £1, but I won't specifically hold for a win. There we are, and that's kind of it really. This is the whole thing, and it perhaps in many ways one of the most fascinating things about this to me was that such a basic low tech could actually have a working method on it, and not just a working method, but a working emptier as well, because obviously even though it's quite a slow process here, I'm pushing out to be in like I'm 12 quid ahead at the moment. Okay, we'll nudge away from that. But what you will find is over time, as you can imagine, if you're constantly getting £1 wins for an average of 40 or 60p in, something like that, your bank is... Oh shit, that was a hole left. Oh, that's fine. That was a hole left nut, and that didn't spin in, I think. But in simple terms, you're getting more into profit as time goes on. You are slowly pulling away. And so I guess if you're putting money back in, and you're putting money back into the tubes, don't know if these had hoppers or tubes, but eventually you are going... Oh, see, now I'm going to nudge away from that there, but I suppose if you wanted to, you could finish off with a jackpot and hope that it held something like that. I'm not quite sure what your kind of get-off point with this would be. Like I said, I've played this before, I've tried this before, because at first I didn't even think it worked. And if you plug away at it for long enough, your profit will gradually get more and more, you'll be more ahead, and therefore you will always theoretically empty the machine. I mean, I'm not going to go that far deep here, because I'm hoping that what you've seen already will demonstrate that this is a genuine emptier. The machine is stuck in some sort of silly code loop here, and as long as we don't take a normal win, as long as we don't obey the wink and take the jackpot when it says we can have the jackpot, it will just keep doing this wink thing, and we can just keep taking £1 wins for far less than a quid, and from that you can build up quite a big bank. And it probably wouldn't take too long to do, I suppose. I mean, this video's only been going for 14 minutes. And now I think you can let that hold there. I could be wrong, but I think the wins that just spin straight in, I think you can let them hold. Because they're, I don't know, if they're coming out of a certain current happiness pot or something like that, or if it's some of this future streak pot thing. But let's see if it carries on winking. That will probably give us a pretty good idea if it's if that is all. Well, okay. Well, it does appear to, certainly for the time being, have stopped winking. So maybe you're not supposed to do that. I don't know. Oh, there we are. No, it's winking again. I mean, what I might do is the next time, and it will eventually just spin the jackpot in. I went around with this for, I don't know, 25 minutes, something like that, and eventually it just span the jackpot in and held, and it was still winking after it, as memory serves. So goodness knows what. There we are. Goodness knows what's going on inside the code here. It's quite an interesting one, and the thing that struck me about it, like I say, was the idea that just such a basic low-tech could have a method on it. You know, if you were in the sort of arcades and you could see like pro players doing, you know, the high-tech machines, and they always came in and there seemed to be some trickery going on with skill stops and certain features and all that thing, you might think, well, you know what, at least the low-techs will be a safe haven. At least I can just have an honest gamble on the low-tech, so there'll be nothing dodgy going on there. And then there's nonsense like this as well. Even bloody, you know, sort of barely evolved bar X's can have emptier style shenanigans on them. It's a bit daft, really, isn't it? What I might just do here is take it out for, see if we can get a jackpot wink, and we'll have a jackpot, and then we'll call it at that point, because, I mean, there's a limit to what we need to see here, and your overall profit versus the machine will increase over time, but it can take a little while, because I guess part of the issue here is that you're doing it with £1 wins. It would be better if there was some chicanery involved with the £2 wins or the £5 wins, but I'm afraid that what you get is the £1 wins. Okay, I'm not sure if something's slightly gone wrong here. I mean, it's still holding after nudges, but it's not winking, is it? So maybe I've done something slightly wrong. There are a few particular things that can break the loop, and I'm not sure entirely what they are. So maybe I've done something that I'm not supposed to do. I could have a fiver there. But it has stopped winking. Maybe there we are. So, it looks like, okay, it's possible that I did something wrong there, I think, because once it starts winking for £2, I think that's the bottom level of happiness. So maybe I've somehow reset it back to the start and done something slightly wrong. But even there, I guess you're going to get it eventually, because it's going to. There we are. So yeah, something seems to have put it back to the start of the wink cycle there. It may even be something as simple as you're not supposed to let it auto hold those melons there. Genuinely don't know. So let's get the bank up to £50. I'll hold away from that. Well, I probably shouldn't have held. That was a bit careless. It wanted to just spin that in there, didn't it? So that may potentially have just killed off the winks. It would be, oh shit! And I'm getting a little bit slacky. I'll let that spin, but overall, I think we've seen what's going on there. Oh, poor old Celebration is getting dreadfully neglected on the side there. Yeah, that might knock it back now to a £2 wink by the looks of it. I mean, it's going to be a reasonable... yeah, okay, that does... So you can see there how you can easily break the loop. I think I did something that broke the loop once, and then by being a little bit slack and allowing it to do those bars on the hold after nudges, that does now appear to have broken the loop. And I think we're going to have to get the machine happy now to do the... yeah, there we are, and it's back to the £2 wink. So it just goes to show that even with something as simple as this, you do have to, you know, keep half an eye out on what you're doing. I'd have it, you know what, if there's a jackpot up there, I'd have it. No, there isn't a jackpot up there, so... there we are, yeah, and we are back to the £2 winks now. I'm very disappointed with the autoplay on Celebration over there. I was hoping it would do a little bit more for me than that. I don't think we've even had the top yet, have we? Yeah, maybe you're not supposed to, in fact, let it auto-hold those wins. That is possible. Because that seems to be able to stop it winking as well. And it's probably going to take it a little while now to get up to being. So let's collect that out. Because I think it's just going to be straight back down to bar winks now, which is like the minimum happiness level. I mean, let's see how we've done. Because obviously I've made mistakes there because it's got itself out the loop. But I mean, there's still a few bob profit been made. And I think if you're a little bit more careful, it's easy to see how this one could be a full empty. So yeah, we're just back to the £2 winks now. Is that going to go up to the top? Go on, go up to the top. That'd be nice. I do like the top box on the... oh yeah, I do like the top box game on party times. Even in single player form, they're quite exciting. Let's see what it does. There we are. So yeah, you can see there it's £2 winks all the way. We've got a £5 on the left hand side, and we're out of credits. That's rather annoying, isn't it? We'll put £3 in. Oh, and another £2. Are we going to get any more winks on this now? So I may have made a slight mistake there. So I haven't actually, in the final analysis, I'm not actually that much up. But bear in mind that this machine was running over percentage to start with. And in a way, I think it's perhaps more useful to show how you can break the loop. How if you take it out of that loop and you do anything that isn't just taking a win off a wink, all of a sudden a machine that was just trying to throw jackpots at you every single spin will kind of go dead. And now what I would have to do is build it up again, which is slightly annoying. So it'll potentially now take a few quid to get it back up to jackpot wink. So in fact, let's do that, but rather than, because I'm very much aware that this is not the most astonishing machine to watch, I'll just see how much it costs to get it up to jackpot wink happiness and see if we can get a better bank from there. Because I'm only like 16 quid up at the moment, but we can see it's building up again. So once it gets back up to jackpot happiness, I'll resume the video, but I will just pause it momentarily whilst I get it there. Okay, we are back up to £5 wink happy, so that does seem to be a definite progression from £2 wink happy up to £5 wink happy. So if I keep knocking these back and avoiding everything else, I think it should progress, hopefully, fairly shortly to being £10 wink happy. What I'm also doing now is if it holds the melons, if it auto holds the melons, I am actually cancelling that hold. Not entirely sure if that's the right thing to do. Now, it has just spun in a 5 straight on the reels there. If that holds, I think I'll cancel it. And if my theory... Oh no, it's gone back down to a £2 wink. So there was nothing that I could do there to stop it just spinning the cherries in. Oh no, there we are. So it's back to a £5 wink. I guess you'd need to delve deep into the code to really understand what's going on here. So I don't want to nudge that even if it's there. So that's a £2 wink. So it seems to be floating around the £2 and £5 wink. All I'm trying to do here is get myself a decent profit. I've had to put a few quid back in to get it back to this stage, but the overall trajectory here is going to be into positive territory. So I guess, and there we are, there's the £5 wink. I guess you potentially have to put a little bit of time into this to get all the cash out of it, but it does seem to be working. Let's just see if we can get it back up to £10 wink happy. I will resume the video when that happens. We're kind of somewhere between £2 and £5 at the minute, depending on what particular mood it's in for the wink in question. But once we get the bank full up again, we should be more generously in profit than we were when we first hit that £50 bank limit. Okay, it has now started doing the £10 winks again, so I need to be a little bit more careful, because I did actually manage to stuff it up last time and somehow get it out the loop, so I'm going to be super aggressive now on not... There we are, so that, yeah, it's gone back to £10 winking, so there does seem to be a pretty clear progression there, so hopefully it's going to be at max happiness. And what I'm going to try and get it doing is basically winking every single credit, if that's... So I want to hold away from that. There we are, winking every single credit for £1 or every other credit, because then you are... So I'm going to... I don't know if I'm supposed to cancel that or not, but something did break the loop last time, so I'm not going to even hold the wins when they hold. So I'm going to cancel away like that, and then... okay. So if you cancel away from the win, it seems to give you a wink anyway on the next spin, so maybe that is... okay. Maybe this is the slightly more refined way of doing it now, and you're not actually supposed to let it hold when it offers you that hold. Yeah, okay. That, you know what? That might actually be it. Let's see. It's held. So let's cancel. So it did hold that. Let's cancel away from the hold. Does it give me a wink? Okay. That appears to be the one, doesn't it? So there was a little bit of finessing required, and it seems to me that what you need to do, yeah, to get it in full loop mode. Right. Okay. Now it seems to me that we're in a state. Am I wrong? Okay. Now, I don't want to take that because that is... So I'm going to hold away there. There we are. So yeah, what you want it doing is £10. So we'll cancel away from that hold. Should give me a £10 wink. Is that right? Yes, there we go. So we just now want to be taking absolutely nothing apart from £1 wins off the £10 wink, and by all accounts, yes, now this is much better now. This is much more consistent. We can get that £1 wink coming back kind of almost, yeah, okay, £10 wink, £5 wink, doesn't really matter. We're in that situation now. Right, okay, so I'm going to collect this out, and let's see where we're up to. I do apologise, this video's pushing up to half an hour. How the fuck have I managed to bang on about this machine for half an hour? I do need to learn the art of brevity, I think, but we'll stick with it for now. That's something I'll work on. Right, okay, so are we now in the state where we can basically get a £1 win kind of every spin or every other spin? Because if you could get to that state, you would start to rack up decent banks quite quickly. So why is that not... Okay, there's a £5 wink. That's fine. A little bit of nudging required. We can manage that. And that's okay. So we'll cancel away from the hold. That should be a £10 wink. Yes, okay. Right. I think we... There we are. That seems fairly straightforward. And I think once if you look at the meters up at the top here, I think once these have finished doing their thing, the profit should be... I just want to hold away from that there. See, I was holding all three there because I didn't want it. So I think if I let it hold the 2 bars, it would just spin the other bar in. And by all accounts, anything that's outside of what we're trying to do here, which is get the £1 win off the wink, it seems to be able to break the cycle, because I've already knocked it right back down to not winking it at all, and then had to build it up again from the £2 wink. But I think we've got RI in it with it now, and this seems to me to be, so we'll cancel away from that. This seems to me to be... Oh, and there you go. Yeah, okay, and it's just spun. It's had enough. It's thrown in the towel. It's gone, right, you know what? You are so fucking stupid, and you're ignoring everything that I'm trying to tell. And a hold. It's given in. It's caved. It's had enough. It's got nothing left now, so yeah, okay, right, you win, you bastard. I'm going to spin in a jackpot, and I'm going to hold. Oh, hold again, that'd be so funny. Oh, I did let it do, you know, I let it do that, because I thought that's... It's so nice getting a jackpot hold on low techs, isn't it? So... that may be, in fact, I'll just let it... That's probably... in fact, you know what? Thinking about it, I shouldn't have let it hold the jackpot there. I think, again... I suspect that letting it hold the jackpot there has broken it again. You can't stop it spinning the jackpot in. I think what I needed to do there was cancel away from that jackpot, and I suspect it would have winked again. But having said that, it's still cherry winking. So that sounds quite rude. That's cherry winking. Not quite sure why that sounds rude to me, but somehow it does. But anyway, oh, there we are. It's still okay. It is still cherry winking. So that amused me. Not to worry. Okay, and then cancel away, and will that then give me another? Okay, so yeah, maybe letting it hold that jackpot has knocked it back a little bit. So I think we've kind of seen that there, and oh, there we are. And what stuffed it up right at the end there? If it spins a win in, I think that's okay, because obviously you can't stop it spinning a win in. But similar to when you get like your melons off the wink here, I think if it holds, you've got to cancel away from it. That's my feeling. Like I don't know the absolute answer to that, but you can see how its willingness to wink gets a little bit sketchier depending on how many wins you take out of the loop. So whereas before it was reliably going straight back to a £10 wink when I cancelled away, now it's taken a spin or two to go back to the bar wink, so I'll cancel away. I mean, there isn't going to be a 7 up there. I'd probably add that if there was a 7 up there. So, how much... Oh, there we are. And you can see now, yeah, okay, so it's not that far away from previous... Oh, no, I fucking held it, you fucking idiot. How have we done? So we are... I mean, on a £10 jackpot low tech, and bearing in mind that I've stuffed it up and knocked it back a couple of times, we're £54 up. I don't know how much cash these things held. It probably wasn't a huge amount. But you can see there how... If you did this absolutely bang on, which I think is just taking melons, it winks, you take melons, if it holds, you cancel. It wink again, you nudge your melons, if it holds, you cancel. Any win that it spins in, okay, that's fine, you can't avoid that, but if it holds that win, you cancel. The wink just keeps coming back, and you get to the point where you're getting £1 in the bank for every 20 or 40 pence of credits, plus the wins that it's spinning in. And if you do that in a ruthlessly efficient fashion, I would imagine you could have this thing emptied. I mean, I've done it badly here, and I'm 54 quid up in just over half an hour. So yeah, it probably wouldn't take you, well, any more than, 30 minutes, 45 minutes if you're doing it properly and you had it absolutely bang on. And let's look at the long-term stats on this machine. So it's more over percentage than when I started. It's now at 97.13% from a target of 90%. So you can see there that we're definitely screwing around with the machine. We're definitely screwing around with its code. Poor thing doesn't quite know what's happening to it. So there you go. That is Super Multi-Nudge. It's a bit of a dreary low-tech, but I was fascinated to see that even these things could be fucked with, and you could do stuff like that. You think really that dear old grannies at least would be safe. You know, you wouldn't expect grannies to be playing Deal or No Deal and tussling with Noel Edmonds and his magnificent beard, but you'd think that they'd be safe playing something like Super Multi-Nudge. They'd have like a fair punt. No, absolutely everything in the fruit machine business is doable and beatable, and if you don't know what you're doing, you're probably going to be fucked. That's the lesson that we can take away from this. That's Super Multi-Nudge. Hope you've enjoyed the video and that you will join me next time, but that is all for now. Thank you very much for watching, as ever, but for now I'll say goodbye. So then, who would have thought that this one would have caused such a kerfuffle? By far the most commented on video so far, and it's not even been up a day yet. Super multi-nudge, this humble low-tech here. Now, a lot of comments on the video, many of them along the lines of, I'm doing it completely wrong, this isn't an empty, this doesn't work, you're just taking the streak pot, and so on and so forth. So I have just returned to this machine this morning, and I've spent about an hour and a half playing it, and I went back to a different RAM file as well. So if that suggestion that I was just taking the streak pot, this is going back to a different point in time, and the machine was actually on its arse when I started playing it. It did take a little while to get building up the winks and to start getting the wins, and at one point I was about 30 quid down, but an hour and a half later, about an hour and 35 minutes of solid play, these are my session stats. 240 in, 515 out, for a payout of 214% to put me £274.40 in profit. So I hope that's going to put to bed the idea that I was just taking the streak pot, unless anyone is now seriously suggesting, I do apologise, seriously suggesting that the machine has streaked for £515 on a £10 jackpot. So that's, I've heard in one of the comments that there were some of these cabs that held 250 quid. I can't imagine that this cab held 250, but you know what? Let's, for the sake of argument, say that there was a £10 jackpot one of these in a cab that held 250 coins. I've emptied it. 274 quid profit, and it's put the machine's long-term stats to 116%. It's way over percentage, and I'm still winning on it. And all I have been doing is nudging in melons. So I've got 3 quid in here. I've got 10 credits. Now I'm going to have to play a little bit slowly because I'm kind of looking through the camcorder. What I've got there, those melons that you've got on the win line, they were off a £10 wink. So what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I'm cancelling that hold. There's a £10 wink straight away, and all I do is nudging melons. And if it holds, I'm going to cancel away. It hasn't held. If I get offered a normal win off nudges, I'm deliberately stuffing it up. If it holds after a win, I am cancelling away from it. But there, so I'm cancelling away from that. Literally, the only thing... Oh, and if it holds 2 of a kind, I'm cancelling away. Literally, the only thing that I have collected is this. It's melons off winks. It doesn't matter if it's a £2 wink, a £5 wink, or a £10 wink. All I am doing is nudging in melons, and if it holds, I'm cancelling away from it. And what it also does, it does periodically, it just spins in bars, or it spins in cherries, or it spins in sevens, which obviously you can't stop it doing, and that appears to be fine. It doesn't break the loop. And if it holds after a win, I am, of course, cancelling away from it as well. So that's basically the whole thing. If you didn't... I also get the feeling that some people were commenting on the last video without watching all of it. I do kind of get it wrong in the first half and then finesse it in the second half, where I finally settle down on this approach here, which is the only win that I am bringing in is melons on a wink. Everything else I'm cancelling away from or avoiding, be it holds after nudges, holds after win, or anything like that. And it works. That's the thing. Now, maybe there is a better way of doing this. This is not the perfect way of doing it or whatever, but it works. I have, even assuming that this machine had 250 quid in it, I have emptied it with this method. You can see there, I've just cleared another £5 on that 3 quid. So let's do the same thing again. We'll put £3 in, and I basically now, every £3 that I put in, I'm getting more than £3 out. And that it's been like this now. Like I say, it took a little while to get it going, but once it was going, I've been consistently making money now for like an hour and a half, and that is the definition of an empty. If you can consistently get
more money out of a machine than you're putting into it, then you've got yourself an emptier. Now, I'm not saying that this is the perfect way or the only way. It may well be that there are different or better ways of doing this machine. However, this is the method that was explained to me by a guy who used to empty these things for real, and this was the method that he used, and he emptied real ones of these using this method, and he let me know that the chipset, the ROM set that's emulated is a doable one. So it may well be, obviously there's going to be different chips for this, there are going to be different Jackpot revisions, all that kind of thing. All I am saying in this video is that this £10 ROM set that we have emulated here can be emptied using this method that we've seen here in the previous video and which I'm doing now, and it works. And you can, every single block of £3 that I put in, I'm getting more than £3 out, and I am consistently winning more and more money with no sign of it ever stopping. And there we are, so that's £9 out off that £3, and that's going to make my stats even better. I thought I'd just come back and just check for my own sort of sanity that what I was saying in the previous video was correct, and I am satisfied personally that it was, because my stats now have got even better. So it's now running at this session 218%, and I've now won on this session in about an hour and 40 minutes now £288. So I think that scotches the suggestion that it's just the streak. All I was doing was taking the streak pot out with melons. Unless anyone out there is actually suggesting that on a £10 jackpot, these streak to the extent that you would walk away nearly £300 up. So this is a full empty. I am quite happy with that. You can try it yourself in the emulator, and if you've got different ways of doing it, then fine. I'm not saying that this is the only way or the best way, but I'm saying that this way works, and you can empty the machine by doing this. That's all I'm saying. And don't forget, at any point as well, I could just take because it's £10 winking kind of all the time, at any point I could take a tenner, which may very well hold as well, and that will add to my profit further. In fact, if I did actually just take one of them £10 winks, that had actually basically put me £300 up. So I can't believe that we're kind of questioning that this is or isn't an emptier, because it clearly is. So there we are. I hope just a little bit of a follow-on video here, because rather than try and reply to all the comments, it seemed to me it might actually just be quicker just to do a little follow-on video, which is what I have done here. And like I say, if I did take one of them tenors now, I'm basically £300 up on this session. So we're obviously looking at an empty here. I think we can say that with some degree of comfort. So let's just finish these credits, and I think I'll probably leave it there. So that's £4 profit off that, £3. That's going to put me over £290 up. This machine now, long term, is at 117.4%. 117.45%. It's way behind on its stats, and it's getting further and further away all the time. That kind of code loop thing where if you just keep taking the melons off a wink for a bigger win and don't do any of the things that break the loop, as you saw in the first video, because I did make a couple of mistakes, you have got yourself a full empty. I have won £292.40 on this in the last hour 45 minutes. That, to me, guys, that's an empty. So just a little follow-on video there. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little update, and I'll see you next time. And just a final little follow-on here. This is the very next credits that I've put through this, because I left the machine running while we went out and went shopping and all that kind of thing. So it was just sat in a track mode for 2 or 3 hours. I thought, oh, you know what? I'll just deliberately break the cycle before I close it down. And as you can see, it's in a very happy mood. I took a wink for a jackpot, which didn't hold. It then winked for cherries, which I think held a couple of times. It's now just spun in a jackpot and held. So it has hit the £50 bank limit. And let's just see how much it has actually got in it to play down, because it had 50 quid in it there. So we'll collect that out, and that is going to obviously put me way over £300 up on this. So let's just collect that out. That may be it now, because obviously the cycle is long gone. I was just curious to see if it actually had any normal wins in it. So we'll actually obey the wink on that and take the bars. And we'll just take as much as we can out of it. It's held. And again, so that's now 56. So remember, these are the very next credits through this machine from the last video. And it had 56 quid of value left in it, which is kind of like a streak in itself, really, isn't it? So, no, 2 quid, we'll have another 2 quid. So that's another 8 quid, we'll collect that. And let's just see where this ends up. If I go 3 quid without a win, we'll... oh, hang on a minute. I have to left-handed mouse. I'm not very good with that. Well, oh yeah, there's a bar up there, so we'll have that. Just play it down now until it's dead. So bearing in mind that this is a machine that I was already nearly £300 up on, which has had we're over 60 quid now. What's that? 63? And it's held, so that's sort of 68. So I think that's 68 now, is it? Something like that. And that's 70, 72, something. So any kind of possible doubts that we were looking at a full empty before, that's another 16 quid. And we will actually be able to see my long-term, or my session stats on this, because I haven't closed the emulator down since before, so this is a direct continuation of the session on the last video. So we are now going to get proper stats. And of course, this is what I should have done this on the last video, really, because of course you would do this if you were doing this in the wild. You would of course take your £10 wink and then just play it down as best you could, and to see what you could get out of it on the play out, as it were. And it's still kind of going for now. You have to excuse that reflection on the screen from the mirror. Not ideal. I should be using Bandicam for this, really, but it's just easier just to grab the camera, then I don't have to bother with my headset and all that palaver. So that might be it now. But it's paid out a substantial amount more. So I think I seem to recall I was basically 290, wasn't I, up before? Because I was saying that if I took a tenner, I'd be 300 quid up. So we can work out from that. I don't know if there's a cherry up there. There isn't. Could have possibly had melons there, but oh, it's held after nudges for cherries anyway. So this is going to be some big numbers here, isn't it? Again, I'll just play down this 3 quid. Well, once it stops giving wins, we'll do a final assessment of what the total profit is on this session. And then we can decide between ourselves if we think it's an emptier or not. I'm voting yes, it is an emptier, based on the evidence available to us. So that's another 14 quid. Oh my word. So I think what we'll do is we'll just say I had 290 up before, so whatever above 290 I have, that is how much it's actually paid out. So it's basically got all this value stored up in it on the play out. If I go through this 3 quid with no wins, we'll call it at that point, and we'll do a count and see what the final scores are. Georgie Dawes. Okay, it's looking a little bit close, so maybe we'll just take it. Let's take that 2 quid and see where that puts us. Do remember that this is a straight continuation from the last video, so the stats on this are good. for that session, and we finished up £377 up on a £10 jackpot low tech that to me has got emptier written all over it. It may not be the way that you did it, but it definitely works. So I hope we can put that one to bed now. I'll see you next time.